Why, hello there. Come here often? Okay, I'm just kidding. But, hi everyone. So, today, or tonight, I wanted to do something similar. Like, we're gonna do a little bit of reading, but instead of it being a vinyl or a physical book, we're gonna look on a Nook device and kind of just browse some books. I'm sorry, I'm shaking. Browse some books, see what's interesting. As you can see, I read Tender is the Flesh, which was definitely an interesting read. Definitely a bit weird, but dystopian in a way that still was believable in a sense. Call me crazy, but hey. So yeah, we're gonna do that. Got the vibes, some candles. Got some sage that's not lit and scent. It smells nice in here. I wish you could take a whiff, but yeah, we're gonna do that. It's gonna be a fun time. So let us do that. Alright. Hopefully the screen isn't too bright. I kind of messed with the settings a bit. So it should be at a comfortable. Well, let's play around with that actually. Let's see. Can't believe if I go up here and go to glow light. Perfect. Okay, tell me if this is a little bit better. Okay, that should be about good. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the home. The home button. Alright, these are a few that are recommended. How about we look at, so I know about Lapfona. I've started Lapfona, which is this one. I like it so far. Not what I expected, but it's still not bad. I started 19 Claws and a Blackbird because it's the same author, and I believe it's about 19 short stories or something like that, so got that as well. But I'm not sure what the Wasp Factory is right here, so we're gonna read that, see what that's about. Damn motherfucker. Okay. Alright, let's see here. The Wasp Factory by, I think that's Lane Banks, I believe. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I can't think anything because I don't know what it's about. Okay, we'll go to read more down there. Perfect. Okay, this is the overview. The polarizing literary debut by Scottish author Ian Banks, The Wasp Factory is the bizarre, imaginative, disturbing, and darkly comic look into the mind of a child psychopath. Meet Frank Caldham, just 16, and unconventional to say the least. 2 years after I killed Blythe, I murdered my young brother Paul for quite different and more fundamental reasons than I disposed of Blythe, and then a year after that, I did for my young cousin Esmeralda, more or less on a whim. That's my score to date. 3. I haven't killed anybody for 3 years. For years. Why did I just add a number? And don't intend to ever again. It was just a stage I was going through. Oh wow. It's not a phase, Mom. Okay. I don't know if I believe him. But honestly, this is the kind of book that I would give a read. But I wouldn't ponder on it for too long. Like if it didn't get me in the first, I guess like 30 pages or so, I would kind of just be like, not feeling it. Let's see what else they recommend for me. Let's see how well they know me. Oh my gosh. Now, is this technical error or is this user error? Wow. Okay. So, after closer examination, I came to the conclusion that there was no way for me to look at more recommendations because that was it. So, okay, so we have one day only. There's the Passion Project, right there. There's The Girl's Killer, which it's not drawing me in. And then there's a Dean Koontz book, By the Light of the Moon, I believe, which I do like some of his stuff, but I'm not too privy to that one, which is fine. Honestly, okay, so there's another recommended for you section. We're going to look at Cursed Bunny because I love the little animals. Oh. Hello. Aren't we on a beautiful journey tonight? Wow. Perhaps I'm not supposed to read this book. Okay. So this is Cursed Bunny Stories by Bora Chung. I have not heard of them. I'm not aware of any of their books, but let's see what it sounds like. A wildly original novel from a rising star of Korean literature. Surreal, chilling fables that take on the patriarchy, capitalism, and the reign of big tech with absurdist humor and a sometimes literal bite. From an author never before published in the United States, Cursed Bunny is unique and imaginative, blending horror, sci-fi, fairy tales, and a speculative fiction into stories that defy categorization. Let's see if you guys get a good look. By turns thought-provoking and stomach-churning, here monsters take the shapes of furry woodland creatures, and danger lurks in unexpected corners of everyday apartment buildings. But in this unforgettable collection, translated by the acclaimed Anton Her, Chung's absurd, haunting universe could be our own. The head follows a woman haunted by her own bodily waste. The embodiment takes us into a dystopian gynecology office where a pregnant woman is told that she must find a father for her baby or face horrific consequences. Another story follows a young monster forced into underground fight rings without knowing his own power. The titular fable centers on a cursed lamp in the shape of a rabbit, fit for a child's bedroom, but for its own sinister capabilities. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see. I'm so rude. Excuse me. No two stories are alike, and readers will be torn whether to face through them or savor Chung's wit and frenetic energy on every page. Cursed Bunny is a book that screams to be read late into the night and passed on to the nearest set of hands the very next day. Quote, like the work of Carmen Maria Machado and Ayoko Matsuda, Chung's stories are so wonderfully, blisteringly strange and powerful that it's almost impossible to put Cursed Bunny down. By Kelly Link, best-selling author of Get in Trouble. Okay, so I can't say I'm too confident with this one. It doesn't sound bad. It's not bad at all, but I'm not sold. So, we push on. Okay, let's see. Maybe you guys can help me pick. I've seen something about one of the good Indians, but I wasn't sure if the author, I think his name is Stephen, if it went in a specific order, as in if those books were a part of a series or if they're all independent, and I just haven't really looked into it. But Dead Inside, now I know this is kind of a sick one. I started reading it, didn't get far, but trigger warning because I believe it has to do with necrophilia. I'm not sure if I can even say some of these things in these videos, but we're gonna try. Alright, overview. Naked in frame. Is that okay, guys? A young hospital security guard with a disturbingly unique taste in women. A maternity doctor with a horrifically unusual appetite. When the two of them meet, they embark on a journey of self-discovery while shattering societal norms and engaging in destructively aberrant behavior. As they unwittingly help each other understand a world in which neither seems to belong, they begin to realize what it truly means to be alive, and that it might not always be a good thing. Oh wow. Okay. What would you rate that? I feel like the description is vague, but it still gives you enough information to kind of get an idea of what it's about. And this one is by Chandler Morrison. We're gonna heart that one as well. Wow. Is my taste just the sickest, or am I trying too hard to be edgy? You know those people. Okay. Let's see here. I've heard of Mexican Gothic. No Longer Human might be appealing to me. Okay, guys, we're gonna look at No Longer Human. Let's see if we like this one. It's semi-appealing, but it might be basic, you know? It might be overdone. Okay. No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. I'm believing that's how you pronounce that. Let's see here. Okay, overview. The poignant and fascinating story of a young man who was caught between the breakup of the traditions of a northern Japanese aristocratic family and the impact of Western ideals. Mine has been a life of much shame. I can't even guess myself what it must be to live the life of a human being. Okay. Portraying himself as a failure, the protagonist of Osamu Dazai's No Longer Human narrates a seemingly normal life, even while he feels himself incapable of understanding human beings. His attempts to reconcile himself to the world around him begin in early childhood, continue through high school, where he becomes a clown to mask his alienation, and eventually lead to a failed suicide attempt as an adult. Without sentimentality, he records the casual cruelties of life and its fleeting moments of human connection and tenderness. Still one of the 10 best-selling books in Japan, No Longer Human is an important and unforgettable modern classic. The struggle of the individual to fit into a normalizing society remains just as relevant today as it was at the time of writing the Japan Times. I will say it is pretty appealing, and I also find it interesting because, I also find it interesting because of the fact that Japan's work culture is so work-based, and I don't know the statistic, but I do know they're quite high up on the most suicide suicidal countries, I suppose. And I think many of us know about the forest. I don't know the name, but culturally, it's not surprising. It's very on brand, but I think that it sounds pretty interesting. I would read it. Also, let me know if it's bothersome that I stutter and I do my little laughs and whatnot in the middle of reading or talking, because I'm sure it could be distracting to some, while I believe others really wouldn't care. But you can let me know. Okay, this is called Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. I think that's how you say it. Okay, so this is another book that has multiple writers, I believe. Haunted is a novel made up of 23 horrifying, hilarious, and stomach-churning stories. They're told by people who have answered an ad for a writer's retreat and unwillingly joined a Survivor-like scenario where the host withholds heat, power, and food. Okay, John Kramer. As the storytellers grow more desperate, their tales become more extreme, and they ruthlessly plot to make themselves the hero of the reality show that will surely be made from their plight. This is one of the most disturbing and outrageous books you'll ever read, one that could only come from the mind of the Chuck Palahniuk. Okay, so I definitely am interested in this kind of idea where, you know, you have the different characters and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and there's a little bit of crime, a little bit of terror. I'm not quite sure, but I can say that it does leave me wanting more. And the reason I did click on it is just because of the picture, which is, it's kind of out of focus, so it kind of does make you do a double take of like, am I looking at that correctly? But it has an odd look to it, which I like. That always is appealing to me. Okay, so that was something. They are really trying to recommend books for me. Wow. I'm trying to see, so what are we thinking for categories? So I'd say I'm pretty predictable, pretty basic. I go for horror, I go for thriller, and I kind of stick within that niche. But that is not to say that I cannot be enticed, if you will. Cozy mysteries and amateur sleuths. That sounds like it could be interesting, but let's go to all the categories. But we just do a whole video on current events. How about that? Mystery, crimes, and thrillers. I would enjoy. History. I actually really do enjoy history. Kids. No, I'm not that. Okay. Alright. We're gonna go to mystery, crimes, and thrillers. Be basic. Be basic bees today. Okay. So these are new apparently. Can't say I'm familiar with any of them, and I'm not. I kinda don't like the look of them. I can't stand a book that barely has a cover photo and then just this huge, gaudy, ugly text. It's like, you gotta give me something. Okay, James Patterson. Yeah, know about him. Let's see. True Evil, okay, appealing. The Picasso Heist. Not so much, but I suppose that is in the world of mystery. Denied access. The Mad Wife. Let's see what direction Megan Church is going in. Let's see about that, guys. Megan. Okay, The Mad Wife, a novel by Megan Church. And it's a New York Times bestseller. I'm shocked. Okay, this is a little lengthy, okay. Let's see here. From best-selling author Megan Church comes a haunting exploration of identity, motherhood, and the suffocating grip of societal expectations that will leave you questioning the lives we build and the lives we live. They called it hysteria. She called it survival. Lulu Mayfield has spent the last 5 years molding herself into the perfect 1950s housewife. Despite the tragic memories that haunt her and the weight of exhausting expectations, she keeps her husband happy, her household running, and her gelatin salads the talk of the neighborhood. But after she gives birth to her second child, Lulu's carefully crafted life begins to unravel. When a new neighbor, Bitsy, moves in, Lulu suspects that something darker lurks behind the woman's constant smile. As her fixation on Bitsy deepens, Lulu is drawn to a web of unsettling truths that threaten to expose the cracks in her own life. The more she uncovers about Bitsy, the more she questions everything she thought she knew. And soon, others begin questioning her sanity. But is Lulu truly losing her mind? Or is she on the verge of discovering a reality, too terrifying to accept? Are we getting sapphic vibes? Yeah, I'm getting sapphic vibes. In the vein of the bell jar and the hours, the mad wife weaves domestic drama with psychological suspense so poignant and immersive you won't want to put it down. Not gonna lie to you guys, okay? I'm somewhat intrigued. It's taken on an approach that is somewhat accurate to history, but I'm assuming putting a nice little spin on it. I'm not quite sure. I'm not gonna lie, it did make me think of that movie, Don't Worry Darling, which I kind of got coerced into watching. I'm not gonna lie about that, but I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't 100% predictable. Like, I knew there was some kind of simulation, some kind of, manipulation going on. I knew that somebody was aware of that manipulation, but I wasn't quite sure. I kind of guessed aliens, basic, but it was a little bit darker than that when it kind of cut to that one. Well, alright, we're gonna move on. So, we're not gonna talk about movies. The Mad Wife, a novel. Yeah, I heard that. Not so bad. And then if any of these actually sound interesting, I don't have to just read it alone. You guys can come along. It could be a little party. Let's see. Nope, another wife. But this one is happy. Evil Bones. Okay. Lisa Gardner, The Killing Hour. Kind of basic. Not sure about that one. Let's see. A particularly nasty case. That's appealing to me. Let's see what that's about. Let's try that again. One more time. Embarrassing. Okay, it's loading. Alright, A Particularly Nasty Case, a novel. This is by Adam K. What's going on at night? Alright, let's read this one. Overview. A chaotic young doctor might be the only person who can catch a killer in this hilarious, macabre, and heart-rending debut mystery from Adam K., former doctor and BAFTA-winning author of This Is Going to Hurt. A thrilling, twisting mystery, and possibly funny, but also deeply moving and often heartbreaking, by Chris Whitaker. You know what? How about you just describe the book? Own past and reputation are far from spotless, despite his budding relationship with Cole, a handsome hospital porter, and reluctant camaraderie with his office mate, Margaret, with the cats. As his colleagues become increasingly concerned about his mental health, Etan's investigation spirals out of control. Could a killer really be stalking the wards? Or is Etan making a catastrophic mistake? Sorry. For lovers of Listen for the Lie and My Sister, the serial killer, this fiendishly clever and deathly funny debut is filled with acerbic wit, lovable characters, and plenty of twists, alongside texts. Well, okay, that was an experience. Yeah, so there was a few books that I would definitely read. We're gonna sit on that, think on that, and you can let me know if you actually found any of the books' descriptions entertaining or interesting enough for me to actually read it on camera. Probably not the entire book, but you know, I think so far I've read about 5 books within the last couple of months, which isn't terrible, but I am trying to kind of, do better, be more consistent, and just find stories that are genuinely entertaining or interesting. So I figured why not share that with other people and the relaxation aspect of it. But yeah, that was all. So hope you enjoyed, and ta-da.